Hello, everyone. My name is David Solomon. I'm the Assistant Professor of Native American and Indigenous Studies at Southwestern College, and today we're going to go over the Pow Wow Volunteer Training. And so the day before the powwow, we're going to actually need to set up some A-frame signs that are going to direct people of where to go, where to park. And so that's going to be on a Friday before the powwow. We'll need about 6 volunteers to insert those signs into A-frames, and then we'll need 6 to 8 volunteers to help set up those signs around campus. And let me show you a map really quick of where that would be and what that would look like. This is just a map that gives specific details on where to place the signs around campus. Like, for example, this is H Street. We have some event parking signs that are leading people into the parking lot. We're going to have them actually come in and drive through parking lot L and make their way on this little road that goes behind these tennis courts here, all the way over here to the main parking lot for the powwow, which is parking lot T. And then we'll have the powwow right over here, right on the side of it, and the soccer field. That's where the powwow will be. We also have overflow parking over here in parking lot G, and there's signs that are directing people towards that area as well. So basically, we're putting those signs up the day before the powwow, so they're all set up on the day of the powwow on the Saturday. And so on the day of the powwow, we're going to have several volunteer shifts. You can see we have a couple of morning shifts, we have several afternoon shifts, and evening shifts as well. Each shift is 4 hours long. And if you're not able to stay for all 4 hours, say you could only do 2 hours, when you fill out the volunteer form, then you would just in the other area you would just put the hours that you actually are available for. Okay. We'll also need you to complete and sign a liability waiver as well in order to volunteer for the powwow. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what is a powwow? Maybe you've never been to a powwow before. So, a powwow basically is a Native American social gathering. It involves Native American dancing. There's multiple different dance categories, different styles of dancers that participate in a powwow. There's also traditional drummers and singers who provide the music during the powwow. There's about 4 different drum groups that we're going to have at this powwow. And so they'll be singing and dancing throughout the day. There's also different specials that take place throughout the day as well, special dances and where we honor people, members of the head staff. When I refer to head staff in this training, I'm talking about specific dancers that we chose to be part of the head staff that we highlight throughout the powwow. For example, head staff dancers could be called the head man, the head woman, the head young man, the head young woman. For example, the drummers are also part of the head staff. There's an MC who pretty much acts as an MC and gives information throughout the powwow on a microphone, and he's pretty much going to be talking throughout the entire powwow. He leads the powwow, the MC. There's an arena director that's in charge of the dance arena and controls everything there, manages it. Those are all members of the head staff. So when I mention head staff throughout the training, that's what I'm referring to. Okay. So yeah, it's a social gathering. People get to hang out, see your friends. People go to powwows throughout the country on the powwow trail throughout the year. And so this is just another powwow that's on that powwow trail. Okay. So it's a social gathering. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's invited. And it's a really good time. Okay. So we got several shifts on the day of the powwow on that Saturday. We're going to need some leads to be in charge of certain areas on the day of the powwow. So, for example, in the morning shift, we'll need a lead who's in charge of the parking area. We'll need a lead who's in charge of unloading vendors. Okay. We'll need a lead at the hospitality booth throughout the day. We'll need a lead who's in charge of the greeting area or when we're doing opportunity drawing sales. Utility cart drivers will also be leads. We'll need a lead in the dinner break area where we serve food at 4 p.m. and also during the evening shift when we're breaking down the powwow and loading up the vendors back in their vehicles. Okay. So each lead will preferably have a walkie-talkie, or at least we'll just be in charge of a certain area throughout the powwow. Okay, in the morning, those several morning shifts, we're going to be having volunteers that'll be stationed at certain areas in the parking lot. And so there's one entrance that is for members of the head staff and for elders as well, any elder, where we have parking for them. And vendors who are arriving in the morning to unload their vehicles also are going to be coming in that same entrance as well. I'll show you on a map where that is. We have parts of the parking lot, the main parking lot where there's vendor parking. I'll show you where that is in just a second. And then we're going to have somebody stationed at the general parking area as well. So we'll take a look at a map just in a second to look at the parking situation. Then we're going to have 10 to 12 volunteers, or maybe more if possible, helping the vendors to unload their vehicles. So we have arts and crafts vendors, about 25 of them who are going to be unloading their vehicles in the morning on the day of the powwow. Most of them will be arriving around 6 o'clock, but then we'll be streaming in throughout the morning, probably between 6 and 9 a.m. Okay, so we're going to help them unload, and then we're going to need a couple of volunteers to help put up these little signs for the head staff because we're going to be having a canopy company that sets up canopies around the dance arena where people are going to be sitting. And after the canopy company sets up those canopies, then we'll have a couple of volunteers go and tape these signs that we have that are designating specific categories, sorry, specific canopies for our head staff. So there'll be a canopy that is going to be for our head woman and her family, right? She's the head woman dancer at the powwow. There'll be a canopy for drum groups, right? So there'll be one canopy for each of the four drum groups. And so we have signs for each of them. Okay. And so we'll need a couple of volunteers to tape up those signs after the canopies have been set up by the canopy company. The canopy company also will be setting up the chairs for the general seating and the elder seating as well. Okay, now let me just go ahead and pull up a map really quick so we can get an idea of what the parking situation looks like and the vendor unloading. Okay, so as vendors and members of head staff and the general public come to the powwow, they're going to be coming down this road, right? This is the road that we showed from H Street as people are coming around the tennis courts. There's an entrance here, a general parking entrance. We're going to have one or two volunteers stationed there. And in the morning, we don't want members of head staff or vendors who need to unload coming into this entrance because their parking is located down here, and this area is going to be blocked off. So it'll be barricaded, so they won't be able to come in here. So if you have people trying to turn into this entrance, as a volunteer, just let them know, hey, are you a member of head staff? Are you a vendor? Oh, okay. Oh, you're an elder who's coming early to park. Well, you're going to want to go down. You're going to have to direct them down to this area here, this entrance here. Okay, so anyone who's trying to come in here early in the morning, you're going to want to stop them and find out where they're trying to go, and what they're a vendor or not. Okay. And so that's a couple of people there. Then we'll have one or two volunteers stationed down here in this entrance. And again, you're going to be stopping anyone who's coming in here. You don't want to let them get through. You have to stop them first and find out, are they a vendor? Are they head staff? Or are they an elder? For the head staff and the elders, and just any elder, this is, any elder, could be anybody that's, of an elderly age, they will be able to park in this area here. So you just direct them to go here if they're head staff or if they're an elder or if they're a dancer, right? They could park here. If they're a vendor, then you just direct them to come over this way. And this is the entrance for the powwow. They're going to actually drive up onto this dirt road here around the soccer field, and this is where the vendors are going to be unloading. And we'll have also one to two volunteers here as well who are going to be directing the vendors to come up onto this dirt road around that goes around the soccer field, and making sure that it doesn't get backed up around here because sometimes you got a bunch of vendors coming at once, and we want only around 3 or 4 cars at a time that are waiting to come up onto the field. uh, beyond 3 or 4, then we're going to have them be out here. Hopefully, it doesn't get too backed up. It didn't last year. Last year, we had it flowing really good because we were quickly unloading the vendors and they were, driving off the field this way. And then we were bringing more people on. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of it of the powwow. This is these red squares here. This represents the dance arena where the dancing is going to take place, and then you'll see these yellow parts here where the arts and crafts vendors are. This is where we're going to be unloading their vehicles and bringing their stuff to their slots or their spaces in these areas around the powwow for the arts and crafts vendors. Okay. And so we'll have 6 to 8 or maybe more, oh, sorry, 10 to 12 or maybe more volunteers unloading the vehicles there. Okay, and let's go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint. And the next slide is just kind of showing us how vendors will be coming up onto this dirt road, which is around the field. And this is something I want to stress really quick. When the vendors come up onto the dirt road, we're going to be telling them to park in certain areas, and they're going to park, and then we're going to help them unload their stuff. And as we do that, when they're finished and they're done unloading, we don't want them parked here for very long. We just want to unload their stuff, get it to their space, and then they have to move their vehicle. And then the way that they leave the field is they're going to just follow these white lines and go around on this dirt road and make their way all the way off the field that way. Okay, so they just follow the white lines. Okay, they're not going to be exiting the way that they enter. So they enter this way, they stop, they unload, and then they drive off. Okay, and then they'll go all the way back around, and the vendor parking is located over here in this area in the main parking lot. Okay, or they could park in this area if they want. Okay. And one thing, if I didn't mention it before, we cannot have any vehicles on the grass of the field. Okay, they can only go on the dirt road around the field. So if any vendors try to drive on the grass, we have to stop them quickly and let them know, please only go on the dirt road. And all of them will be notified ahead of time. But sometimes we'll have a few folks who just try to do it just to be quick. Okay. All right. Moving on. So for the morning shifts and the afternoon shifts, we're going to have a couple volunteers who are going to be greeting guests as they arrive. Back to the map real quick. We'll have the greeters around this area because this is where the general public's going to be entering into the powwow as well. So when you greet them, you can let them know where the general seating is, and we're also going to have a certain section for elder seating. And if you want, you could also tell them where the food vendors are going to be. And if we go back to the map, in the parking lot here, this is where we'll have food vendors set up. They'll have Indian tacos, and maybe a few other types of food as well, maybe possibly some burgers, hot dogs, things like that. You could also let them know where the restrooms are going to be as well. The restrooms are going to be located over in this area, in this dirt patch. We'll have several porta potties, and there's also some brick and mortar restrooms over in this area over here. Okay, and throughout the day, from 1 to 3, and maybe a later shift as well, but mostly from 1 to 3, we're going to be having several volunteers, 3 to 4, selling opportunity drawing tickets. Okay, so when you do this, you just have the person put their name and their contact information on one half of the ticket. They rip it off, give it to you, or you rip it off and give it to them, and then they take the other half of the ticket. And what we're talking about here with an opportunity drawing, they're going to have the opportunity to win arts and crafts items because each of our vendors are donating one item each, so we'll have at least 25 items for the opportunity drawing. It's going to be $1 per ticket. We might do some deals as well. We'll let you know the day of the powwow if we're going to do a little deal, pay $4, you get five, something like that. All right, so we'll let you know what the deals are going to be. And you can sell those tickets to the vendors. They love them. Sometimes the vendors win their own stuff back. It's crazy. And then we're going to sell to the vendors, and we could also sell tickets to the guests as well. Okay, so we'll have volunteers going around doing that. We're also going to need a couple of volunteers for these water stations. So around the dance arena, there'll be several buckets, like large buckets with ice in them, where we're going to put waters. And so we'll do that in the morning. We'll need some volunteers to put the bottled waters into the buckets in the mornings, and then just keep an eye on them throughout the day. And if they need to be refilled, you can always go and fill them up. Okay. Monitor the ice, but we're not going to be the ones putting the ice in those buckets. That's going to be the facilities department. They'll put the ice in. So if you notice the ice is getting low, just let one of us know, one of the leads know, and we'll let the facilities department know, and they'll bring the ice. Okay. Next, we're gonna need some utility cart drivers, but if you have to be a member of the faculty or staff in order to drive a cart, at least that's what I've been told. Okay, I was told that student workers can't drive the carts. If that's different, we'll let you know. But as far as I know, that's how it is. But we're gonna need some utility cart drivers throughout the day because we're going to be offering transportation from the powwow to the parking lots for elders and or folks who may need a ride. Maybe they're parked really far or they're disabled or whatever. We'll give them a ride, and then we're also going to have a cart located in that overflow parking lot. So for people who park there who may be disabled who need a ride to the powwow. Okay, and we'll have a designated area for people to wait at the powwow if they need a ride to the parking lot. Okay. All right. And so that's the utility carts. The hospitality booth, this is going to be located where the MC booth is around the circle. And the hospitality booth is where we have powwow programs, which is, more information about the powwow. We'll have coffee, we'll have snacks. That's for everybody, by the way, not just dancers and drummers, the coffee and snacks. People love coffee at the powwow, so we'll have that for everybody. If anyone asks questions, sometimes they come there as well, so you might be providing them with information. And we'll have a first aid kit at the hospitality booth too. Around 4 p.m. or at 4 p.m., we're going to be having a dinner break. The dinner break is a way that we honor our dancers and head staff. It's a way that, we're going to basically provide a meal for them. And so at 4 p.m., the MC will be on the microphone and he's going to be like, okay, it's time for the dinner break, everybody. And, all dancers and drummers, and you guys can make your way over to the overflow parking lot where we have food waiting for you, So we're going to need some volunteers to go and prep that area around 3:15-ish so that it's all ready to go by 4 p.m., maybe 3:30, just depends. And so 4 p.m. is when it will actually begin. And so we'll have a couple of volunteers who are actually going to, direct the dancers and the drummers to the dinner break area in the overflow parking. And I'll show you what that looks like really quick. So we'll have like a couple of volunteers located here on this dirt road where the white arrows are, and they'll just be letting people know, hey, go down that way. This is where the feed is going to take place or the dinner break. That's located. It's going to be right here in this parking lot, the overflow parking lot. That's where the food will be. So we'll be having a couple of volunteers directing people that way, and then we'll have volunteers here who will be serving the food and maintaining the line. Just kind of like organizing the line and getting it all good. So that's the dinner break, and then we'll need a couple of volunteers as well to help clean up. Okay. And then at the end of the powwow, in the evening shifts, we're going to be helping the vendors to load their vehicles up once again. Some may want to leave a little early, around 7 p.m. If they're going to leave around 7 p.m., we're not going to let them bring their vehicles up until after the powwow ends at 8 p.m. But if they want to, like, use a cart to bring their stuff down to their vehicle in the parking lot, that's fine. We can help them with that. Okay. We're also going to be picking up trash that may be on the field after the powwow ends at 8 p.m. And then we'll be using utility carts for the faculty and staff who could drive those to help people load up their vehicles as well. And then once we're all done, we'll need some help returning those utility carts back to the departments, to the people that lent those to us. Okay. All right. So that was just a real quick run through of the the volunteer training for the powwow. We are going to do another in-person volunteer training where we're going to go out to the grounds and go over this once again, but in a little bit more detail. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys an overview of it. Thank you so much for all of your help and for volunteering for the powwow. And if you guys do have any questions, you could always email me at D Solomon, that's DSALOMON at swccd.edu. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody, and you guys have a good one. Okay.